is Amy and welcome to my channel, a place where I combine both my love for running and for music. Today we're going to talk about carbon-plated running shoes, in particular the Nike Zoomfly 3 and the New Balance TC FuelCell. I will go over each shoe and their differences and similarities, and is one shoe better than the other? Stay tuned and let's go find out. Before we can really talk about the Zoomfly or the FuelCell, we have to take a look at the history of the carbon-plated shoe. While carbon-plated shoes have only recently become super popular, shoe companies have actually been playing around with the idea of carbon-plated shoes since the 1980s and 90s, with brands like Reebok, Brooks, and Fila. It really wasn't until 2017 when Nike paired up with Kenyan runner Kipchoge, I think that's how you say his name, when he tried his first attempt to break the sub 2-hour marathon. Unfortunately, his first attempt he ran in 2 hours and 25 seconds. Still, oh my word, I can't even imagine running that fast for let alone like 2 minutes rather than 2 hours. Don't worry, he did eventually break the 2-hour barrier in 2019 when he ran it in 1 hour and 59 minutes and 40 seconds. While running both of these events, Kipchoge wore earlier versions of the Vaporfly Next Percent by Nike. The shoes that he was wearing sparked this new controversy of whether they were legal, were they fair, and has technology gone too far? It actually caused new regulations from the World Athletics to be made. They stated that shoes could not have more than one carbon plate or rigid plate in its midsole, and the sole thickness, also known as stack height, could not be more than 40 millimeters. It's not just Kipchoge who was wearing these shoes. The day after he broke his sub-2 marathon, Bridget Kosgei, another Kenyan runner, broke a 16-year marathon record at the Chicago Marathon. And if we look at other runners too, there seems to be some benefit of wearing these shoes. However, there are concerns that the competitive running scene is no longer level or accessible, as there is a large price tag to these shoes, and not everyone can afford them, which some say strikes at the very essence of the sport of running. I'm not going to talk anymore about the fairness of carbon shoes, and you can kind of take what you want. If you believe in them or if you are against them, that's okay. But I'm going to share my experience with them, as I believe they're going to be here to stay and they've really shaped the world of running shoes. Okay, carbon plates are in shoes now, but how do they actually work? On every step you take, the stiff carbon plate compresses and expands the foam more quickly. The carbon fiber plate also stabilizes your ankles and reduces the workload on your calves. They help runners stay fresher for longer and not as sore afterwards by protecting against eccentric loading. Eccentric loading is a braking action of your leg muscles each time your foot hits the ground, and it inflicts muscle damage that slows you down and makes you sore. They help reduce energy loss that usually happens when your big toe bends in the shoe, but the carbon plates prevents your toe from being bent, keeping that joint straight and transferring the weight to your ankle. It also rolls your foot forwards. However, because the shoe alters the way your foot interacts with the ground, it could have unintended consequences and possible injuries. Everyone has different biomechanics and will react differently to carbon-plated shoes. Some people have a huge success with them, while other people don't. Personally, I don't wear my carbon-plated shoes every day and save them for speed workouts or long tempo runs. The first carbon-plated shoe that I purchased was a Zoomfly 3 by Nike. It is super light and it weighs around 227 grams. I guess it depends on what shoe size, but just in that general weight. Not heavy at all. It has a heel drop of 8 millimeters. The sole thickness is 31.5 millimeters, and these sell for $210 Canadian. Nike explains that these were inspired by the Vaporfly, but with a little more durability. The Nike Zoom X midsole on the Vaporflies breaks down very quickly. The full-length Nike React midsole is designed to last longer. It has a carbon plate in the midsole, and the rubber outsole on the forefoot and heel makes it more durable. It's made with breathable material, vapor weave instead of fly knit material, which holds your foot in better. I love the little booty here, so there's no tongue to get bunched up. It also has an arch band here that reduces the pressure on your instep. However, I do find the laces on the Zoomfly very slippery and I have to triple knot them so they don't come undone. And it's actually come undone once in my workout and that's not okay. The Zoomfly has a very narrow heel, which at first made me a little nervous about its stability, but I actually don't have any trouble with it when I run. I love it on the road, but I would never wear it on the trails. These are kind of dirty, but they are well loved. As I just said, the Zoomfly has quite a narrow heel, which is designed to arch away from your ankle and relieves the pressure on your Achilles tendon. The cushioning is fairly firm, but is very responsive. I feel so fast in the Zoomflies and I love doing speed workout in them. I also really like doing my longer tempo runs in them as I find the cushioning is really good for longer runs, yet it's not too bulky or heavy. I initially felt like I had to go down a whole size, so this is a 7 where I usually wear an 8, but now if I got them again, I probably would get a 7.5 as they're just a little too snug, but still okay to run in. I feel taller, sleek, and faster than the Zoomflies and I love wearing them. Are they worth the price tag? Definitely. Okay, time to move on to my second pair of carbon-plated shoes, which are the new Balance TC FuelCell. These also weigh around 200 grams or so, according to their website, but they do feel a little heavier when compared to the Nike. Yeah, just slightly. It has a heel drop of 10 millimeters, which the Nikes had 8, so not much of a difference. And the cushion stack height in the FuelCells are 30 millimeters. Again, a slight difference between these and the Nikes. These babies come with a price tag of $260. Carbon-plated shoes are not cheap. The TC stands for training and competition. They say that you can train in them, but also race in them. In my research, many runners agreed that they wouldn't use the FuelCells for a race, but more rather use them for training shoes. And I agree with this too. It has good rubber coverage at the front, which makes them more durable. There's a modest Achilles flare and they don't go quite as thin as the Nike ones, and I don't feel like my heels slip out of these either. It has an internal full-length carbon plate. They have what they call a fuel cell cushioning, which helps propel you forwards. I find the cushioning on the FuelCells super squishy and it almost feels like I'm standing on a pillow. It's a cool feeling, but also a little weird. I feel like I'm just like bouncing along in them. The cushioning also allows for more compression and then it quickly bounces back. It's different from the Nike as it's not a bootie, but I don't find the tongue gets bunched up either. It has a knitted kind of mesh top to it, which keeps your feet nice and cool. I love the color and I love how breathable it is, but I just wonder how durable that this mesh kind of is going to be. Time will only tell. The laces on the FuelCell are awesome. I love the feeling of them and they don't slip, and they have this reflective band stitched in. I really feel like companies don't give you much of an allowance to do a heel lock lacing, but I don't find these as slippery as the Nike laces either. They're a neutral fitting shoe and fits true to size, so I got a size 8 in these. My foot feels really secure and never feels like it's gonna slip out of the shoe. I feel like the New Balance will last a long time as it has nice rubber on the edges and around the toe. The one issue I have with the FuelCells is I don't feel super secure going around corners. Maybe it's just the way that my foot sits on the cushion, but I just don't feel like I could take a sharp corner comfortably. As well, finding out last week when I was running in them and it started to rain, I didn't feel like I had much grip or traction. This combined with not feeling super secure going around corners made me very careful when I was running. Thankfully it was at the end of my run and I was almost done my speed workout. However, I still do love wearing these shoes. I feel like I can run really fast in the FuelCells, so I like doing my speed workouts in them. Similar to the Nikes, I wouldn't wear the FuelCells on an uneven path or trail. Another positive thing about the FuelCells and even the Nike Zoom Flies is that they have a longer lifespan, which is good considering their price tag. I love both of my carbon-plated shoes and I'm very glad to have them in my shoe rotation. Both are well made and very responsive to run in. Is one better than the other? I think it's kind of a personal preference thing. Though in the end, if I had to buy another pair of shoes again, I would probably stick with the Zoomfly 3s. I love how the Zoomflies and FuelCells feel on my feet, though I just find the Zoomflies a little more secure going around corners. Maybe it's all in my head, but I do feel like I can run faster in both of these shoes. They're pricey, but I consider them a good investment, especially if you want to race in a carbon-plated shoe. Training in a shoe that also has a carbon plate is really important for your body to get used to it. It's better for your body to gradually get used to running in a carbon-plated shoe than suddenly having one on race day. This will hopefully also help prevent injuries, as there's just no sudden changes. I've said this before in another video about how to start running, so you can check that out above, but it's really important to rotate the running shoes you actually wear during the week. Each different shoe impacts and changes the way that the load is distributed in your lower limbs, thus reducing the risk of overuse injury. How about you? Do you own any carbon-plated shoes? What are your thoughts of the whole issue of carbon plates in shoes? It really helps out my channel when you hit the like button. As well, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Happy running, and I'll see you next time.